Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast. I'm your host Tara, energetic strategist, psychic medium, and your guide to life and business that feels like a full body fuck yes. If you're ready to move beyond success and step into true peace, pleasure, and prosperity, this podcast is for you. Get ready for unfiltered stories, mindset shifts, and real strategies that will empower you to live and lead with your heart. Together, we'll unlock your highest potential, expand deeply rooted abundance, and shift into soul-led success without sacrificing your authenticity, joy, peace, or freedom. So take a moment, settle in, feel the energy shift, and let's dive into the magic that awaits. Hello, love, and welcome back to the Be Magnetic podcast. I'm excited. Today we're going to talk about 8 lessons I learned about selling on my Thailand trip. So yes, I'm officially back. We just landed a few days ago, and I have had so many incredible insights on this Thailand trip. It was such a dream come true trip, and you guys know I've been manifesting this for such a long time, and it was everything that I had hoped for. I know, of course, it was different than what I had anticipated it to be, 5 years ago when I set the intention that this is what I want to do. But given the new circumstances and who I am today and the life that I'm living today, it was perfect. It did rain a little bit much, but it was still beautiful, and we went to Bangkok, we did a lot of shopping, and we went to Chiang Mai in the north and did a lot of sightseeing and got so many massages and treated ourselves. We went to the beach, to Krabi, and did explorations, island hopping, swimming, all the stuff. So it was very rejuvenating, very beautiful. It was so good for our relationship because we really got to spend some quality time and away from all the responsibilities and the demands from everyday life, and really got to connect and spend time together and heal some of our dynamics as well, which was so beautiful. And yeah, like the first few days, like the first 5-6 days or so, I was able to really completely forget everything at home. Like there was this moment, I think it was like on Sunday or Monday or something, and we had gotten to Thailand on Wednesday, and so I realized I haven't even checked in with my clients at all or even thought about them at all, which is not usually me, because usually I always hold space for my clients in the way that they're present. Their energy is always present within me, not every single moment obviously, but throughout the day they are present, and I'm tuning actively into their energy and see if there's something that they need. But I haven't done that because I completely forgot. I forgot about everything. I forgot about the fact that there is a life outside of this, and that there is a reality that I experience aside of this, which I think is such a beautiful. The timeline theory, the many words theory, is really true, because just like that, I jumped to a different timeline. I jumped into a different reality where everything, my work, my business, my clients, the visa, none of that existed in that reality, in that moment. It wasn't there. It existed on a different timeline, in a different universe, in a different dimension at the time, and literally in a different side of the world. But right then it didn't exist. And this is how easy we can jump timelines. This is how easy we can shift into different dimensions, onto different timelines, into different realities. And we just have to allow ourselves to really fully shift. And that's what I did, because the moment I set foot on Thailand, I just forgot. I allowed myself to be fully immersed with the experience there, and not try to cling to or hold on to things back home. Anyway, this is just a side story. If you want me to go deeper into this, feel free to send me a message on Instagram. I don't want to bore you guys with every detail of the trip, because there's more important things that we want to get into today. But if you want to know more about it, and you haven't watched my stories while I was there, you can just message me and I'm happy to give you all the juice. So today I want to go into 8 lessons I've learned about selling on my Thailand trip. So obviously Thailand is a very, like, I would say economic, where there's a lot of like selling and buying and like just economy exchange thing happening, like in most Asian countries, really. So obviously there was a lot of opportunity for me to observe what's going on and apply this to business. So I want to take some of these lessons, some of the things I witnessed on this trip into business context and see if we can learn some of the things from how people do it in Thailand with like clothes and food and everything, and apply this to our service-based businesses. So the first thing that I've observed was that, especially in Krabi, so at the beach, literally every second place was a restaurant or a bar. And what I've observed was that, we would walk by naturally because, there's only 2 streets basically, and you just walk by the same restaurants and the same bars every single day, every time you walk by there to go to the beach. And so I walked by there, and every time literally we walked by a restaurant, they said, "Do you want to have food? It's happy hour." And, we would walk by back, an hour later, and they'd be like, "Do you want to have food? It's happy hour." And then we would go back in the evening and they'd be like, "Do you want to have food? It's happy hour." And we'd be like, "No, thank you." And so this was so funny for me because this is kind of like when we go online and like we promote, we, sell in our content, in our stories, on our feed, and we say like, you get a 10% discount, or it's just like you get 600 euros or dollars off just now. And then we do this over and over again all the time. And it's just too much. It does lose its credibility. So the first lesson I've learned is to use promotions delicately. So we don't want to discount or like offer certain promotions too heavily too often, because then the product uses credibility. Because what I thought in the moment when those restaurant owners or like the staff there said that, I first of all asked myself, is your food not good so that you have to discount it? There were even some restaurants that had, we give like a sign out there where it says we give you 10% discount. I'm like, is your food not good, or why do you have to like discount it and have to have happy hour all the time? I get it, like it's a marketing strategy, but like also it kind of makes me wonder if the service that they provide is actually as good. And I mean, the same thing applies to us, right? If we sell something all the time with a discount or a like a promotion or something like that, an upgrade, then we'd be like people will start wondering like if the service that we are offering is not actually as good, so that we have to discount it all the time. And it also shows that we don't fully stand behind the value of what this service is worth. Because the second thing that I wondered was, okay, if you have happy hour all the time, or if you always give discount, why don't you just put the price at that, right? Why do you have a higher price and at the end of the day you sell it for 10% less because it's always happy hour, or you always give a discount? And that same dynamic can be applied to business, where people then start to wonder like, aren't you confident about the pricing? Don't you feel like the price reflects the value of the program, or why do you give discounts all the time? I mean, this is a great strategy if we use it delicately, because it can drive revenue and everything. It can give people an initiative to purchase. But if we overdo it, it loses its power. So please don't overdo it. The second thing I've noticed was, the second thing I've noticed was that some stores would let you walk in and would let you walk around and look, kind of like we know it from the Western world from back home, where we go into Zara or we go into a supermarket, or I don't know, like a store, and we have the time and the space to walk around, to look, to explore, to see if there's something we like. And there's not someone like following us literally 10 centimeters behind, looking over our shoulder all the time, or like kind of, trying to point like one or the next kind of product at us, asking us as if that is kind of what we like. Both energies were present in Thailand. So there were those shops where you would walk in and they would literally, like, the second you set a toe into the store, they'd be on top of you, they'd be behind you, and they'd be like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Do you like this? Look, I have that, and I have also this and this and this and this and this, which is so overwhelming. And my husband also said that because as a consumer, as someone who potentially buys something, you want to go into a store and you want to just wander around. You want to look what they have to offer. You want to see if there's something that you will like. And then when there is something that you like, you gotta approach the people there, right? Yes, you want to have someone present there so that you can ask questions. And so that person has to be alert, and not like, because there were also stores where the lady was like somewhere in the back and she was like on her phone, and like we even said like, hey, hello, and like nothing back. And so that's also not the energy that we want, right? We want to have someone present there, someone alert who's ready to respond when there is inquiry, but we also don't want to be on top of it. And the way we can apply this to business is like, you don't want to constantly DM someone, or you don't want to like constantly bombard someone with invitations and be so on top of them that they are getting scared away, or they're getting annoyed because they don't have time and space to actually look and feel if this is something that they want. But you also want to be visible enough, so that's where things like website or a curated Instagram page come into place, because you want to have your office there. You want to have it all laid out so that people can actually browse, so that people can actually walk into your store, in quotation marks, and go and see if there's something they like. And then you want to be present, approachable, so also don't like ghost people in your DMs, and like totally guilty for that also. Sorry, my response time is not what it could be. But anyway, you want to be approachable and present, so that you can respond to people that are showing interest, right? So sell with integrity, please. Know the difference between inviting, letting people shop, and inquiry come to you. Yes, of course, sometimes people need some like an extra nudge. That's definitely been me in Thailand also. There's been a couple stores where I walked in and I just looked at things so often and I just couldn't decide. Like the best example was at the airport when we flew back, we had some money left, and since we didn't want to take it home, I was like, okay, I didn't get to buy a purse, so there's a store that has really cute purses, so I'm gonna go look there. And I actually couldn't decide. It was so hard to decide because there were also, and I also didn't really fully know what I wanted, and there was nothing that like fully matched. Like I wanted to something to hang over my shoulder, but also I wanted something cute, and like there was just nothing that was like 100% what I was looking for, and but still pretty things that I like, purses that I really loved. And so I spent, I don't know, forever in this store, and like looking at certain bags over and over again. And like the owner, or like the person in the store, she was so lovely, because like obviously she saw me like in the store forever, like looking at the same purses forever, unable to decide. And I even walked out a couple times like asking my husband like, what do you think? And so I was so indecisive, but she didn't say anything really. She let me just walk through the store, like look at things, and then eventually though, after I don't know 15 minutes or so, she came up to me and she held a purse in that I had looked at a few times, and showed me the purse. So you want to be present, and sometimes you want to observe people, and if there's someone who's clearly interested but undecisive, yes, clearly approach them and help them through the decision-making process. But you don't want to like be on top of them as soon as they kind of walk on your page, basically. Of course, you want to greet them, you want to say hello, but then you want to let them wander around. The third one was the classic one, attract instead of chase. And the way this showed up was that, again, some people, some business store owners, they would just literally follow you on the street, like especially massage therapists. Some of them would just literally follow you on the street like a couple meters, trying to grab you into their studio, versus others, they would just, offer you this, say, hey, massage, this is how much it is, and then if you say no, they would let you walk by. And this is also something that is so commonly seen in the online business world, where we have people who literally just like call DM you and chase you and like try to drag you into their offerings, which is not an energy that I personally as a customer really enjoy, which is why I don't think it's necessarily effective or like a selling technique that is really much so in integrity with me, at least not, and I believe with a lot of people it isn't in integrity. But obviously you want to be present and you want to make people aware of you. So what I really loved was that some of the other massage therapists, they would just offer you, and so they would always stay on top of mind. They would always say like, hey, I'm here, I've got time, basically. And then they would trust that whoever wanted to have a massage and come in would say yes and come in. So this is the classic attract instead of chase. The fourth thing that I've noticed was that some stores, which is obviously very common in Thailand, so most stores, they would just give you whatever random price, and then the price is very much so negotiable. So the prices that I have in Thailand, they're not even set. Like most stores, they don't even have price tags. You just ask how much is this, and they name you some price, and then you either say yes or you say no, and you offer a different price or you walk away. So that's like the traditional thing, but there have been some stores also that had fixed prices, where they even had signs in the fitting rooms that said, we don't negotiate, this is the final price, the price on the price tag is the final price. And so this kind of opened up the idea of, firstly, stick to one way of selling. So don't be like, I don't show pricing, I don't name pricing, and I kind of negotiate and have like very individual prices. And then, at the end, in a different time, you're like, no, but this is a set price and whatever. So stick to one way of pricing. And also the second thing is to know your worth. And I'm not sure, both ways of pricing work. But I personally think that having fixed prices, at least having prices available, even if they're negotiable, is slightly more authentic and in integrity, at least with my energy, and with the way I enjoy shopping. Because again, it goes together with people wanting to browse, people wanting to get an impression, and they don't want to be pushed or pressured into something. So even if you walk into a store that's slightly more expensive, that has fixed prices where they say, okay, we don't negotiate, it's fine. You can walk into a store, you can see if you like something, and you can decide if it's worth the price. And it is either worth the price or it's not, and you buy it or you walk out again. And of course, as a business owner, if you notice that a lot of people keep walking out because your prices are too high, they're showing interest, but your prices are, it's not worth the money for them. Of course, you can go in and say like, hey, I noticed you really like this. What's wrong, basically? And then if they say, yeah, it's like too expensive, then you can say, okay, maybe I can give you a discount or something like that, right? But if you go and basically say, which happened to me in Thailand also, they say, okay, no, this is 1,000 baht, which is the currency in Thailand, or like, for simplicity, this is $1,000, and then someone walks out and then they kind of scream at you like, I'm gonna give it to you for 600. This is also like, this gives slightly like a weird feeling. Not complaining because I bought a lot of cheap clothes, but it also kind of gives a weird vibe, because you're not really sure what you're at and what the actual value of this piece is now. And this is slightly different when you have things like clothes or stuff like that, but it also creates this weird dynamic, especially if there's other people offering similar things, because this also happened to me where one store sold me this exact same shorts for like 180, and the other store for 280. and it was literally the same product, the same quality, the same everything. And so the value of what you price something is so subjective, but also the money that someone is willing to pay for it is so subjective. Because at the time, I was like, no, I don't want to buy this for 280. Yeah, it might be worth it because it's 100% cotton. Like, I totally see the value, and 280, euros or dollars is still like so cheap. But at that point, it wasn't worth the money for me because I already had bought shorts. So I walked by the store that sold it to me for 280. And then there was a woman who sold it to me for 180. And I was like, okay, now I buy it because I can see that, okay, now it's worth my money, because although I do have shorts, I really like it. It's 100% cotton, and this is a price I can't say no to, basically. So know your worth, know that pricing is always subjective, and stick to one way of how you're pricing and handling pricing in your business so that it is transparent and clear and people know what they're getting at when they walk into your store or try to buy from you. Number 5, over deliver. I mean, we all know that over delivery and just like giving extra is so highly rated in the business world, but I want to come at this with a twist, because I do believe that over delivering doesn't always mean we have to put more time, more energy, more effort into it, and we have to overextend our energies and our resources. I think sometimes there's ways in which we can over deliver and give clients a beyond what they expected experience which requires so little effort and has such a high impact on customer satisfaction. And the way this showed up in Thailand was, when you here in Europe or even in the States or, in Australia, you go to beaches and they're like so clean. There's like no rubbish, no nothing on the beach. And I know for a fact the way they do it in France, for example, is that every morning and every evening, so every time there's low tide, so the water is all the way out and you've got like the biggest amount of beach that you can have, there's like a tractor, like a track, like a car basically with like a thing, don't know what's it called in English, but like driving down the beach collecting the entire rubbish. This is one person, and I mean the beaches in France are huge, so it takes them some time, but like if you have like a 2-kilometer long beach or something, it doesn't take too long for a tractor to like drive along the beach twice a day and like auto collect the wood and all the stuff that's laying on the beach. But it keeps the beach clean, and so people go to the beach and it's like beautiful. They have places they can sit and lie on. And in Thailand, most beaches were pretty dirty, not necessarily like human waste, but I mean you always find like plastic bottles and stuff like that, because some of them, although I mean in Thailand most people, like there's a lot of signs that you don't litter, like please don't litter, and there's like they have, like compared to some other countries, a pretty good waste kind of system, but still you see in certain areas a lot of waste even on the street still, because they don't separate waste as much as we do over here sometimes. But still, the ocean always drags trash also down the beaches that isn't necessarily from the place that it lays on the beach now. But anyway, most of the trash on the beaches are really just leaves and wood and coconuts and stuff like that fall down from the trees that are planted on the beach that no one cleans. And so especially when it's high tide, you can't really lay on the beach because it's just like disgusting. There's nowhere to lay. Even the most beautiful beaches which are really hyped, just dirty. And it's so low effort to just have someone drive like a tractor car on the beach twice a day when it's low tide, cleaning this beach, but it's such high impact for customer satisfaction. And we can apply this to our business as well. We can look at, okay, what are things that have such a high impact on our client satisfaction because it's something that they really value, but that don't cost us a lot of energy. And that's how we essentially over-deliver without overextending ourselves. Number 6 is be smart with your marketing strategies and take into account your client's energy. Okay, so the last couple nights when we were in Bangkok, our hotel was in a street where they had kind of like a walking street at night. So this is very common in Thailand, where you just have a lot of kind of little stores and street vendors on the street at night, and like a lot of bars and restaurants are open, and like music, and cars can't drive through, and there's like lots of people. And so our hotel was right next to a lot of bars in a row, party kind of street. And the bar that was right next to the entrance of our hotel, they literally had, and it wasn't the only bar though, there were so many bars like this, they had 10 people in front, like the entire staff of this bar was in front on the street promoting the bar. They would hold like little signs that said buy one get one free, or like laughing glass, which is kind of like a special drink. I don't even know what a laughing glass is, but anyway, they would just hold this in your face, like into everyone's face that would walk by. They would just hold this thing. 10 people, they would literally cover the entire fronting seat row of this bar, right? So the entire length of this bar, of like the ground of it, they would just cover it. They would be standing one next to the other, like building this wall in front of the bar, all promoting this empty bar. And that kind of got me thinking, because like, how effective is it actually to put so much effort and so much resources as the bar owner also into staff that promotes an empty bar, right? It really turned you off, because you couldn't, as a customer, you couldn't even like walk in without them approaching you and basically grabbing you and sitting you down on the table, which isn't really the experience that I imagine most people want to have. Anyway, my thought was then, wouldn't it be more effective if they just did, and I know that this is a thing here in Germany at least, there's clubs which do in a certain period of time, like from 7 to 9 p.m. or something, they do ladies drinks free, or ladies free entrance or something like that, because their strategy is that if there's women going into the club, then the men automatically follow. So that's their marketing strategy. And so they give an incentive to the women to go into that club by telling them they get free drinks or they don't pay entrance fee. And so the ladies come in and the men naturally follow. And this is such a different strategy of filling a room than what the other ones did. And if we apply this now to online business, there's different strategies, right? You could, for example, DM your entire list, or you could send out lots of newsletter, or you could just promote a lot on stories, or you could give a like more beautiful incentive or whatever. Like, there's different marketing strategies, and I think it's worth to consider, first of all, what is most aligned with your energy, what is most effective, but also what is most enticing to the person that you want to attract, right? So there's different ways in which you can fill the room, and it's worth considering what is most aligned with who you are and the vibe that you want to send out. Number 7, wait for the right moment. So another very common thing in Thailand is that when you're seated at a restaurant, especially in the bigger cities, there would be vendors that sell like bracelets or like glasses or hats or whatever. They would come up to your table and they would ask you if you want to buy something. And sometimes those people walked up to us in times where I was like, of course I'm not buying this right now. So there was this one incident where on our last night we were in a restaurant and we just both looked at the menu deciding what we wanted to eat, and this person came up that wanted basically, I believe, a donation for like a good cause or something, and I'm the last person to say no to them, but like honestly I was just concentrated on picking food. So please come later, right? Check out the people, what are they doing at the moment, and like wait for the right time to approach people, because if they're currently occupied with something else, they're gonna send you away, although they would probably have bought or support you, because it's just not the right time, because you didn't take into consideration where they're at the moment. Simple as that. Number 8 is then speak to your target audience. I mean, this is also common sense, but the way this showed up in Thailand, which I thought it was really funny also, was with the bars similar. So in the party mile that we were like staying at, There was one club that had an entrance fee of 200 baht, which equals like, I don't know, $15 or something. And they only had big bottles of alcohol. So you could only either buy like a container of beer, basically, like these kind of tornado things. I don't know. I'm not that into partying, so I have no idea what that's called. Or you could buy a bottle of vodka or rum or whatever. And obviously the prices were higher. There were the bars, the one that was next to our place, that had these 10 vendors in front, and that they had like buy one for and get one free kind of things, and all these promotions. And you could literally see how they attracted two different types of clients, right? The club, they attracted more of like the party group people, because we walked by, it looked like a fancy club, they had a great DJ, it was fun, we wanted to go in, but we decided not to go in because we're not gonna drink an entire bottle of vodka or rum, and we also not gonna drink, I don't know, 5 liters of beer. So there was nothing for us to drink, so we didn't go in. So this club clearly spoke to either groups of people, so multiple couples or whatever who could share, or to people who just want to get really drunk. And the other bars, they offered, buy one, get one free, so you could actually get great value, but you could also order off the menu, so it was more for people who just wanted to have a drink and then leave, basically. So the way you're selling, the pricing, the offers you have, the way you're promoting, all that speaks in a way to the people that you're attracting. So make sure that the way you're putting all these things, the strategies that you put into place, make sure that they're aligned with the people that you actually want to attract. Another way of how this showed up was that there was this beautiful woman. She was like so elevated, she had such a great vibe, and she had such beautiful glitter pens, and you could see like she was like very elegant and very like, and even her partner that she was with, you could see that they were probably some of the people that stay at resorts or something like that, and they walk through that street obviously because it's a beautiful place to walk through and wander through and enjoy some nightlife, but they sat at the street food restaurant because the street food restaurant was calmer, there was not as loud music, there was no one trying to sell to them. She I think ordered like a tiny bottle of wild berry or something like that, and he ordered a beer, and then they ordered a smoothie, and then they went, basically. It's an entirely different vibe than the club or the bar that was next to our hotel, basically. So you see, speak to the person that you want to ideally attract and create the environment for them, the pricing, the offers, the way you're selling, create for them. Okay, so those were my lessons on selling that I learned on my trip in Thailand. If you want to dive into deeper topics like this, you can dive into episode 90, Step into your soft CEO era for a juicier, more abundant life. This covers a bit more how we can sell more in alignment, how we can lead more in alignment in business. So yeah, go check that out. There's a lot of other episodes on money if you're interested in that, and then make sure to screenshot this, tag me, and share your biggest takeaway. Which of those lessons was maybe surprising? Which one did you like the most? Which one did you already know? Let me know, and make sure to come by next week again for another episode. Thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. It was a blast. If you're new here, then make sure to subscribe to the show to not miss any new episodes. And if you haven't done so, please feel free to give the show a 5-star rating. This means the absolute world to me, since it helps the show to grow and allows me to bring more incredible guests and episodes your way. With that being said, until next time.